What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and today I'm going to be talking about something pretty, pretty close to my heart, and something that's been going on lately, and I think that has kind of like slowed my wanting to record videos and even like stream and things like that. So, really big thing, and probably like the main thing I'm going to be talking about, just like Magic being super stale right now, and by that I mean we have M21 that just came out, all these super fun, powerful cards that I think in past standard formats would have been totally fine. Like I would have had no problems or anything like that with, but with War of the Spark and even like Core 20 and some of the other just like really powerful sets that we have, feel like that it just kind of ruins it. Where it's like, yeah, sure, it's still powerful, but like all the decks that were still good before are still good, and then there's more decks that just try to beat what the best decks were in the previous format. So, with that being said, instead of doing like deck techs and things like that, because modern's not really changing, there is no bannings or really any bannings that are going on. Still probably waiting on new cards to find like their home in modern, if there is any home for them. Pioneers basically been like the same three decks being good in the format, and basically them trying to one up and metagame each other, which obviously really isn't that fun. There's no new decks coming out, and unfortunately, kind of for like the older formats, it's the same way where like the decks that have been dominating are dominating. They're getting new tools, and the other decks aren't really getting any additional tools that are better than what the top decks are getting. So all the formats are just kind of staying stagnant, and like while they are changing, they're not really changing as far as like what archetypes are doing well. It's just the same archetypes that are doing well, but with some new cards for either more consistency, more explosiveness, things like that. So for me, that's kind of taking a lot of fun out of Magic, because even though I'm not inherently a brewer per se, I definitely like find whatever the like one of the top decks in the format is, or like maybe tier 1.5, tier 2 deck. Find a deck that is just super fun to play, fun to mess around with, maybe make improvements on and things like that, and go from there. But I feel like in standard, like those decks don't exist, and maybe in previous formats they did exist. Like the cycling deck was a lot of fun for me to play, just because it was stupid, and just could win out of nowhere. Now just loses a scavenging ooze, which is a good card to have in the format, but it's a fringe deck that gets pushed out by this card that you want to play for the other type of graveyard decks that are in the format, and making these already base green decks even better and have more utility to fight all these other decks and things like that. So uh, big thing, for the lack of uploading on my channel. Like Magic just isn't super interesting to me right now. The formats are stale, while the new cards are exciting. Most of them either just get like pushed to the side until rotation happens in standard, or just can't make a big enough impact. And any of the other older formats, while obviously the very powerful cards like Ugin that was printed in M21, just kind of like slot into decks that are already really good and don't make any fringe decks any more playable without already making the tier 1 decks or tier 0 decks, however you want to look at it, being even better, and just being a better place for that card to be played, rather than in these like fringe, could be meta, decks that we're used to seeing that should be good at the very least in standard. So that kind of sucks. It's ruined my motivation to really like even grind the ladder or even like do my daily challenges and things like that on Arena. So unfortunately, Magic is probably going to slow down on my channel until rotation happens, which hopefully happens very, very soon. I believe in like 2 to 3 ish months. So that'll be exciting. Another thing that has been going on, obviously, besides like world events and things like that, big things happening in like the Smash Bros. Community with, you know, uh, people being outed as like pedophiles and child molesters, or whatever you want to call them, things like that. And it's kind of put a downer on me because if you know me or seen my channel before, like video games are like a big part of like my personality. Where, Pokemon, uh, Resident Evil, Ratchet and Clank, like those types of games have been, near and dear to my heart. And like Smash Brothers is one of those, like, is basically one of my go-to like party games, like for me and like a group of friends and things like that. So like when news like that happens, and it happens in, I think, every sort of like esport competition or whatever, where like you do have some players that are very scummy, whether it's cheating, like in Magic, there's been a lot of like players just caught cheating, players treating other players in the community like shit, uh, sexually harassing grown adults and things like that. And then obviously for Smash, like a lot of this is that's been coming up is like adults having sexual encounters with like minors and things like that, and it just sucks because for someone like me, where like I was actually super excited to get into Smash Bros. And try to practice and stream more online and try to get better at the game so that eventually when tournaments could happen in person, or maybe even some online tournaments, if I was feeling brave enough to just go and like play and just see how good I'm getting and things like that, to now it just kind of makes me just not want to even play the game for what's going on until like issues get sorted out and things like that. So um, with all that being said, and wrapping it up, and basically trying to power through like all the negative stuff that's happening in the world, like obviously in like the video game world and in the actual like global world as we're all experiencing it. I wanted to get back to at least some sort of regular uploading, so I'm probably still, for real this time, probably going to try to keep uploading Magic stuff because that's a lot of like what the people that watch my channel and a lot of the people that subscribe for was for Magic stuff. So there's still going to be some videos on that. But aside from that, I think I'm going to try to do some Pokemon stuff here and there, sprinkle in some Smash Bros. Stuff, and of course, trying to get back into the swing of streaming and uploading the streams whenever possible from Twitch onto YouTube as well, so people can catch those, and probably more just alternating between like Pokemon and Smash Bros. For that, just because those are the games that, you know, um, regardless of like the shortcomings of some of like the top players in like the Smash Bros. Community, it's still a game that I enjoy playing and still a game that I love going back to, uh, even if the scene and everything for it is just kind of like meh. It's like up in the air at this point. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff if that piques your interest, or if there's any ideas for videos like challenges or anything like that in that creative space. I would greatly appreciate seeing those like in the comments, whispering me on like Twitch or anything like that. That'd be really cool. But that's gonna do it for this video. I just kind of wanted to ramble and talk about some of the things that were going on with me, like with gaming in general, and what's the heck is going to be going on with like my YouTube and my Twitch channel as well. So I hope that you guys enjoy this, at least being kind of excited for what stuff could be coming in the future, and just, I guess, getting hyped and going into the second half of 2020 in a better headspace than we had for the first half of 2020. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be sure to see you all in the next video.